state systems. So for more on this, let's now bring in trial attorney Paul Cali and lawyer Alan Mendenhall. Gentlemen, great to have you both on. Paul, let me start with you here. Can you really kind of break this down for us, really what this is? I mean, opponents arguing the changes could make voting by mail more difficult and potentially affect access for some voters. What is this exactly?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. I think the plaintiffs, Democrats are claiming victory, but they jumped the gun. The decision by the judge was very meticulous and well thought out, and it basically comes down to the issue is not ripe. President Trump's executive order requires the states at this time to do nothing, and it sets no particular rules that need to be followed. And that's what the judge ruled. So it's a setback for the Democrats for sure. And they're sort of like Chicken Little. The sky is going to fall, and that's not the case, and that's what the judge said. I expect them to come back when the case is ripe for litigation, but for the time being, they jumped the gun.
Yeah, and I want to kind of follow up on this topic right here with you, Alan. I mean, do you foresee this staying in effect for future elections, or are the Democrats going to do whatever they can for it to be stopped?
Yeah, this ruling is not on the merits, so it leaves the door open for future challenge. I suspect we'll see future challenges, but the judge is right. I mean, the Democrats did not show imminent and irreparable harm, and President Trump's executive order did not direct any of these plaintiffs to do anything. I mean, think about who these plaintiffs are. It's Chuck Schumer, it's Hakeem Jeffries, it's the Senate Campaign Committee, the Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, their Congressional Campaign Committee. So it's basically, it's a lot of Democratic organizations, and they're not the target of this executive order. I just got off a plane from Europe, and it's interesting that all these European countries I traveled through have far stricter voting requirements than we do. What we really need is Senate Republicans to get off their fanny and pass the SAVE Act, and make sure that we have electoral integrity in our country.
Yeah, and I have seen even some almost third world countries have stricter voting than we do in the United States of America. The Save America Act, like you said, let's go ahead. We got to pass this. But gentlemen, while I have you, I have to get into this. So Tuesday, there were reports that federal prosecutors, they actually opened a criminal inquiry involving writer E. Jean Carroll and whether or not she made false statements related to her accusations against President Trump. However, late last night, the top federal prosecutor over in Chicago denied that his office had even opened an investigation into E. Jean Carroll. And now reports say the DOJ has opened a criminal investigation into a nonprofit tied to billionaire Reid Hoffman over funding connected to E. Jean Carroll's civil case against President Trump over possible money laundering, conspiracy, obstruction. My goodness, this is a lot. It's a little convoluted. It's a little confusing. Paul, can you kind of break this down for us, simplify it a little bit? What exactly are you hearing about this case?
Well, you raise a bunch of good points. First, the statement from the U.S. Attorney in Illinois. What's important is what he didn't say as much as what he did say. And what he didn't say was two things. First, he didn't say who the target of the investigation was. And based on leaks and reporting, it's Reid Hoffman. And for any of your viewers who don't know who Reid Hoffman is, he's a billionaire. He was the co-founder of LinkedIn, and he is one of the United States' largest donors to the Democratic Party and to Democratic candidates. You said he was responsible for funding. The funding was $7 million. Some would call it a slush fund. That's a huge legal fee. It was paid to a Democratic lawyer who is embedded in Democratic operative politics in New York, Roberta Kaplan, and her firm, her then firm. And under oath, Hoffman denied any outside assistance in funding her legal bills. So apparently, according to the leaks from the grand jury proceedings, Hoffman made these payments through a nonprofit. And a nonprofit, as you know, gets certain tax benefits from the IRS. In exchange for those benefits, the nonprofit has to follow pretty stringent rules about how it spends its money. And funding $7 million for a lawfare litigation, it probably does not comport with those requirements, and so Mr. Hoffman is on the hot seat.
Yeah, I appreciate you really breaking that down for our audience, because again, the reports, they changed every single day. Everything was very convoluted. It was a little confusing, so I really appreciate that. Paul Calais, Alan Mendenhall, gentlemen, great insight this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.